There's a moment that sticks in my mind, one I'll never forget. It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon, and I found myself sitting in the common area of my nursing home, watching the clock tick slower than molasses in January. A lady across the room was knitting, her hands moving like she'd done it 1,000 times, and she probably had. But her eyes, they looked distant, almost like she'd left the room long ago. And right then, it hit me. This isn't what I pictured for myself. If you're watching this, maybe you've had that same thought. Or maybe you're considering a move to a nursing home and want to know what to expect. Well, today I want to share something deeply personal and maybe a little uncomfortable. This isn't about scaring anyone or casting blame. It's about honesty. Because if I'd known these 6 hard truths before I made the decision to move, my life might look very different today. Let's start with the first truth, the one that sneaks up on you when you least expect it. Truth number 1, independence fades faster than you think. When I first moved in, I told myself, this is just a new chapter. I'll still have my routines, my hobbies, my freedom. But here's the thing. Nursing homes are built for safety, not spontaneity. Meal times are scheduled. Activities are planned weeks in advance. Even the walks I used to take whenever I pleased, they became approved outings with staff escorting me, just in case. Now, I'm not saying safety isn't important. Of course it is. But there's a difference between feeling protected and feeling penned in. One day I realized I hadn't made a single decision for myself in 48 hours. Not what to eat, not when to nap, not even what to watch on TV. It's like someone hit pause on my ability to live, not just exist. And here's the kicker. The less control you have, the less motivated you feel to hold on to it. It's a slow drip, like water wearing down a stone. You start thinking, why bother asking for scrambled eggs instead of boiled? They'll just say no anyway. Before long, you stop asking altogether. Truth number 2, the price tag isn't just financial. Let's talk money for a moment. We all know nursing homes cost a pretty penny, but what they don't tell you is the other cost, the one that doesn't show up on a bill. When I sold my house to afford the move, I didn't just sell 4 walls and a roof. I sold the garden I'd planted with my granddaughter. I sold the kitchen where I burned Thanksgiving turkeys and laughed about it with my late husband. I sold the stories in every creaky floorboard. And even if you're not selling a home, there's another kind of currency at play: dignity. Imagine needing permission to have a cookie from the pantry, or waiting 20 minutes for someone to help you to the bathroom because they're short-staffed today. You start to feel like a burden, a checklist item instead of a person. Now, am I saying no one should ever move into a nursing home? Of course not. For some, it's the best or only option. But I am saying you deserve to go in with your eyes wide open. Because once you sign those papers, there's no undo button. Pauses, glancing out the window as if gathering thoughts. Let me tell you about Helen. She lived down the hall from me, a firecracker of a woman who'd been a jazz singer in her youth. One night she whispered to me, "I traded my microphone for a meal schedule. What did I do?" Her words stuck with me. Because that's the heart of it, isn't it? It's not just about losing things, it's about losing yourself. But here's the good news. Knowing these truths now gives you power. Power to ask better questions, explore alternatives, or, if you do choose a nursing home, to advocate fiercely for the life you want there. And that's exactly what we'll keep talking about as we move forward. Because you deserve more than regrets. You deserve a life that feels like yours, no matter where you live. One of the things I missed most after moving wasn't the big stuff. It was the little, everyday connections. The way my neighbor used to wave from her porch when I fetched the mail. The barista at the cafe who'd remember my order. Half calf, extra cream, just like always. Those tiny threads of belonging. And that brings me to the third hard truth, one I didn't see coming until it was too late. Truth number 3, loneliness can creep in, even when you're surrounded by people. When I first arrived, I thought, well, at least I'll never be alone here. And sure, the dining hall was always buzzing. There were bingo nights, movie screenings, even a book club. But here's the catch. Being around people isn't the same as connecting with them. Take Frank, a sweet man who lived next door to me. Every morning we'd nod and say, "How's the weather?" Or, "Pass the salt, please." But after months of those exchanges, I realized I didn't know a single thing about him. Not really. Did he have kids? What did he do before retiring? Was he happy here? It's like we'd all become experts at skimming the surface. Polite but never personal. And it's not just the residents. The staff, as kind as many of them are juggling a dozen tasks at once. They'll ask, "How are you today?" But they're already halfway down the hall before you can answer. You start to feel like a task on a clipboard, not a person with stories to share. I'll never forget the day I found Martha, a woman in her 80s with the most infectious laugh, sitting alone in her room, staring at a photo album. "My daughter sent this," she said, "but she's so busy with the grandkids. I don't want to bother her." Her words broke my heart, because here's the truth. No matter how full the building is, loneliness doesn't care. It slips in through the cracks when conversations stay shallow, when families drift, when your history starts to feel like it doesn't matter anymore. Truth number 4, your family's visits might not be what you imagine. Now let's talk about something tender, something we don't always say out loud. When I decided to move, my kids supported me. "We'll visit all the time, Mom," they promised, and I believed them. I pictured Sundays filled with grandkids running down the hallways, shared meals in the dining room, maybe even holiday gatherings. But life has a way of unraveling the best intentions. My son's job took him across the country. My daughter, God love her, became the primary caregiver for her father-in-law. Visits turned into rushed 20-minute drop-ins. Phone calls got shorter, and when they did come, I could see the guilt in their eyes, like they were checking a box instead of sharing time. And here's what no one tells you. The more your family sees you settled and safe, the easier it is for them to let go. They assume you're fine because you're supposed to be fine. "Mom's got professionals looking after her now," they tell themselves. But looking after isn't the same as being with. Now, am I saying families are to blame? Absolutely not. They're doing their best, just like you are. But there's a painful gap between what we hope for and what actually happens. And when you're sitting in your room, waiting for a visit that gets postponed again, it's hard not to wonder, do I still matter? Shifts tone to gentle encouragement. But here's what I wish I'd done differently. I wish I'd spoken up. Told my kids, I need a weekly call, even if it's just 5 minutes. Asked the staff, can we set up a video chat station for families who can't visit? You have to be the keeper of your own connections, because once you stop reaching out, the world starts to forget you're there. Pauses, gazing down at the mug in her hands before looking up with a wistful smile. You know, I used to think the hardest part of aging would be the aches or the forgetfulness, but it's not. It's realizing that the things you took for granted, your voice, your choices, your place in someone's day, can disappear bit by bit, like sand through your fingers. But here's the good news. It's never too late to grab onto what matters. To say, I need this. To build new rituals, even in a place that feels unfamiliar. And that's exactly what we'll explore as we keep walking through these truths together. There's a quote I've been thinking about a lot lately. Growing old isn't the problem. Growing old without a say in the matter, that's the problem. And it brings me to the 5th truth, one that might be the hardest to hear, but also the most important. Truth number 5, your health might decline faster in a safe environment. When I moved in, my family said, you'll be healthier here. They'll monitor your medications, make sure you eat right. And sure, my blood pressure stabilized. But here's what they didn't see. My legs grew weaker because I stopped walking to the mailbox every day. My mind felt foggy because conversations became small talk, not the lively debates I used to have with my bridge club. I remember my friend Arthur. He was a lifelong gardener, could grow roses that'd make you weep. At the nursing home, they gave him a potted plant to tend on his windowsill. It's not the same, he'd grumble. Within a year, he stopped getting out of bed altogether. The staff called it depression, but I think it was something deeper, a loss of purpose. When you're told, we'll handle everything, it's easy to stop handling anything. And it's not just the body, it's the spirit. The day I realized I hadn't laughed until my sides hurt in months, that's when I knew safety doesn't always mean health. Sometimes it's the risks, the messiness of living, that keep us strong. Truth number 6, leaving is harder than you think. Now let's say you're like me. You've moved in, and after a while you think, this isn't working. I want out. Here's the cruel twist. Getting out is often harder than getting in. Take my neighbor Evelyn. She lasted 6 months before she begged her son to take her home. But her house, sold to pay for the nursing home fees, her belongings, divided among family or donated, and her health, marked high risk by the doctors, making independent living seem impossible. She felt trapped, and honestly, so did I. Even if you could leave, there's the weight of guilt. Families say, we thought this was best for you, and you don't want to seem ungrateful. So you stay, swallowing your regrets, thinking, maybe it'll get better. But here's what I've learned. Hope isn't a plan. If you take nothing else from my story, take this. You always have options. Maybe it's downsizing to a senior community instead of a nursing home, hiring a part-time caregiver, or even moving in with family, but on your terms. The key is to ask the hard questions now, before choices get stripped away. Now, I won't pretend this isn't a heavy topic, but here's the light breaking through. Every one of these truths, they're not here to discourage you. They're here to empower you, to help you see the full picture, the good, the bad, and the messy, so you can make the choice that's right for you. So let's wrap this up with a simple truth of my own. Aging is inevitable, but how you live as you age, that's up to you. Whether you're in a nursing home, a cozy apartment, or a house full of grandkids, hold on to what makes you you. Fight for your morning walks, your favorite recipes, your late-night phone calls with old friends. And if you're ever in doubt, remember this. You're not just a resident, a patient, or a checklist. You're a person, full of stories, wisdom, and worth. Don't let anyone, anywhere make you forget that. Pauses reaching for the framed photo on the shelf. A candid shot of the host laughing with friends. Before I go, I'd love to hear from you. Have you faced these truths in your own life? Or maybe you found creative ways to stay independent? Share your stories in the comments below. Let's learn from each other. And if this video resonated with you, do me a kindness. Hit that like button, share it with a friend who might need to hear it, and subscribe to the channel. Together, let's keep these conversations going. Here's to living every chapter of your life on your terms.